Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into something absolutely game-changing today. Look, we spend so much of our lives just running from anxiety, right? But what if I told you that the greatest source of your fear actually isn't real danger? It's not failure, and it's not rejection either. It's totally counterintuitive. But the root of our anxieties, whether it's fearing we'll lose our money because we think it's our only security, or fearing criticism because we think it defines who we are, or even fearing death, none of that is the true root of our panic.
So, if it isn't danger or failure or rejection, what is it? What's the real hidden engine driving that internal panic we all feel from time to time? I want you to take a second and just ponder that.
Well, according to our source material, the answer is incredibly profound. It's the illusion that you are alone. That feeling of total disconnection is literally our most primal fear. And to really grasp how to conquer this, we're going to look at the ultimate case study, a historical figure named Guru Gobind Singh. Imagine losing your home, your comforts, your friends, and even your kids. Unimaginable, right? But despite all that profound loss, he remained totally radiant, courageous, and just deeply at peace. He wasn't angry or broken. Why? Because of his complete surrender to the divine. He knew deep down he was never actually alone.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the modern epidemic. Most of us aren't out here running from literal lions today, but our daily lives are packed with this subtle psychological warfare. Think about the ancestral jungle, where our ancestors constantly scanned the horizon for actual physical predators. Now, look at our modern jungle. We're constantly scanning for notifications, emails, looming deadlines, financial drops. It's a completely different environment, but here is the wild part. We are operating with the exact same nervous system. So, to your brain, seeing a text message left on read or getting a reply from your boss that just says okay with a period, it triggers the exact same nervous system panic response as a prowling tiger. Crazy, right? And because of this constant low-grade panic, modern fear gets super sneaky. It hides. It disguises itself as perfectionism or people-pleasing or this obsessive need to control everything. But you know what its absolute favorite disguise is? Procrastination. We trick ourselves into thinking, oh, I'm just waiting for the perfect moment to start. Meanwhile, years pass by, that perfect moment literally never arrives, and the anxiety just gets stronger. So procrastination isn't laziness at all. It's just fear wearing a clever disguise.
Which brings us to section 2, enter the warrior mystic.
To break out of this modern anxiety epidemic, we're turning to a seriously remarkable historical mentor, Guru Gobind Singh. Born in the year 1666, calling him just a religious leader would be a massive understatement. He was a saint, a scholar, a poet, and a brilliant military strategist. He actually founded the Khalsa, which is a community totally dedicated to justice, intense discipline, and profound spiritual awakening. Basically, he offers a complete masterclass in how to live fearlessly.
The framework he embodied is what we call the warrior mystic. You know how most people usually fall into extremes, like they're either super aggressive but completely lack spirituality, or they're highly spiritual but totally passive and never take any real-world action. Well, the warrior mystic is this rare identity that perfectly balances the two. It's about relying on a profound inner surrender to the divine while simultaneously taking decisive, bold outer action in the real world. And this exact balance creates what psychologists call an internal locus of stability. Think about it. Today, we might have a complete emotional meltdown over a delayed flight or a friend forgetting our birthday. But Guru Gobind Singh faced unimaginable loss. His home, his closest friends, his own children. And his center of gravity literally never wavered. Why? Because his confidence didn't come from temporary circumstances. It came from an eternal consciousness. And when you shift your identity away from things you can lose and towards something eternal, fear completely loses its foundation.
Let's move on to section 3, the paradox of control. To really understand this illusion of safety and why fear even exists as a survival mechanism, we have to look at neuroscience. We have this tiny part of our brain called the amygdala, and it lights up whenever it perceives a threat. But the thing is, the amygdala is not good at nuance at all. It genuinely cannot tell the difference between a charging tiger and a super critical Instagram comment. To your nervous system, both of those feel like literal life or death threats. This is exactly why our bodies react to job interviews or launching a new business as if our actual survival is on the line.
Our source material gives us two absolutely brilliant visual metaphors to explain how our modern minds get totally imprisoned. First, imagine you're carrying an umbrella. Super useful in a rainstorm, right? But if you carry it open indoors for 10 straight years, it just becomes a ridiculous burden. A little bit of fear protects us, sure, but constant fear, it imprisons us. The second metaphor is about control. Trying to control everything in life, like the economy, what people think of you, or just getting older, is literally like trying to control ocean waves with a spoon. It's exhausting, it's completely pointless, and it only makes you way more anxious. Our absolute deepest fear just comes from clinging to things that can be lost.
So, how do we fix this? That leads us to Section 4, the science of surrender.
How do we bridge this gap and stop trying to control the ocean with a spoon? You see, when people hear the word surrender, they usually misunderstand it. They think it means doing nothing or just giving up. It gets framed as this passive weakness. But true spiritual surrender is entirely different. It's all about alignment. It means you do absolutely everything you can. You prepare, you put in the hard work, you take massive action, but then you completely release your attachment to the outcome. You just let it go.
And the science backs this up beautifully. Having an excessive need for control just wrecks our peace. It spikes our stress hormones, leaves the brain hypervigilant and totally exhausted, and keeps us constantly fighting against reality. On the flip side, the practice of true surrender, whether through trust, meditation, or prayer, literally changes your brain. It activates calming neural pathways, boosts resilience and clarity, and lets you actually work with reality instead of fighting it. You basically free up all that energy you were wasting on resisting life so you can use it to actually create your life. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. Think of an archer. As a warrior mystic, you have to act fully. You aim carefully, you train hard, you focus completely. But the exact microsecond that arrow leaves the bow, your control is gone. The outcome belongs to life. We've got to act fully, attach lightly, and trust deeply.
Let's make this super practical with Section 5, the Fearlessness formula.
We can actually break this down into a highly actionable 5-step fearlessness formula you can start using today. Step 1, identify the fear. You've got to dig beneath the surface panic and find what you're actually afraid of losing. Step 2, accept reality. Just stop arguing with what already exists because trust me, reality wins every single argument. Step 3, take courageous action. Remember, movement creates confidence and waiting just creates more anxiety. Small actions will dissolve those large fears. Step 4, release the outcome. Do your absolute best and let the arrow fly. And finally, Step 5, trust something greater. Whether you call it the divine, the universe, or just life, trusting that existence is way bigger than your current problem brings this profound, unshakable peace. To really help you visualize this, imagine you're walking through life carrying this incredibly heavy backpack, and inside are all these heavy rocks: the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of uncertainty. Most people spend their whole lives essentially going to the gym, trying to get strong enough to carry that heavy backpack. But the real solution? It isn't getting stronger so you can carry the rocks. The solution is realizing those fears are not your actual identity, so you can finally just take the backpack off and put it down. The burden was never the rocks. The burden was believing they were a part of you. And that brings us to the ultimate lesson here. A fearless person isn't someone who magically has zero fear. No way. A fearless person is just someone who's discovered a quiet, unshakable courage rooted in the divine that is simply greater than their fear. Fear is that little voice whispering, "What if everything goes wrong?" But faith is the voice that asks, "What if everything unfolds exactly as it should?" That tiny shift in perspective, it changes absolutely everything. We've covered so much ground in this explainer today, and hopefully shown that true spirituality isn't about escaping from life, but rather the ultimate preparation for it. So I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on. What is one fear you are ready to release today? Take a second, think about that heavy rock in your own backpack, and drop it in the comments below by typing, "I choose courage over fear," along with whatever it is you're letting go of. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep acting like a warrior, trusting like a mystic, and I'll catch you in the next one.